So to pick up where we left off. So we got some vocabulary words. Shh. So the line that intersects the other two lines, L1 and L2, which these are parallel lines, right? So this guy right here is called transversal. Okay, so you got to make sure you understand when so they say transversal, you know that's a line that connects through two lines. Okay, that's important. So as you probably noticed that when two lines intersect, four angles are formed, right? Four angles are formed here and here, right? The opposite pairs of angles are called vertical angles. So, for example, where it says F and then the G are vertical angles. See how they're across from each other? That's different from when we had the parallelogram, right? And you had an angle here and an angle here, because that's inside the figure, right? These are across from the lines here. So just don't try to confuse those two, okay? All right. So, knowing that, let's see what we can answer here. So it says, suppose angle F is 80 degrees. That's this guy right here. So if angle F is 80 degrees, what are the measures of the other angles? What would probably be the two easiest angles to find right now from what you know right now? Isabel. All right, G. Okay, what's G supposed to be then? 8, because they're opposite, right? So, okay, G is 80. That was one of the ones I wasn't thinking of, but all right, what else? Because we don't need G on here. Angle E they're asking for, right? What's angle E? What would angle E be? Not 130. 100, right? Aren't E and F supplementary angles? Don't they got to equal 180? So angle E would be 180, right? Or 100 for to give it 180. Now they want A, B, C, and D. What do you think the measure of angle A is? It's 100. You are correct. Good job. All right, so if A is 100, what's B? Blake? 80. Because again, A and B are supplementary angles. You have to equal 180. What's C? 100. And again, because B and C are supplementary angles, or that A and C are vertical angles, they're the same, right? It's exactly what it's set up above. So, and then D would have to be 80. So take a look above. Which angles are vertical angles again? Who can give me a pair? Raise your hand, give me a pair. Martina. Okay, so angle F and angle G. That's one. Give me another one. That's one pair. There's three more to go. Give me another pair. Maria. Just the vertical. So both of them. So we got that one. All right, so angle B and angle D. Good. So that's this one. Okay. Robert. Angle E and angle H. Good. That's this one right there. So what does that leave us, Joey? Angle A and angle C. So what do you notice? What is true about these vertical angle pairs? What are you seeing here? What are you seeing here? What do you see with all these vertical angle pairs? That was 100, by the way. What are you seeing? Aiden? The angles are all the same, right? They're equal. So all the angles are equal. So again, F and G, which is right here, have the same angle measure, right? B or E and H have the same angle measure. B and D have the same angle measure. A and C have the same angle measure. Okay, good. All right, so here, let me erase this because we got this kind of busy now. All right, so now the next question says, which angles above are supplementary? And we already know what's true about supplementary, right? Yep. The angles add up to 180 degrees. So looking up above here at the picture, I'll just scroll. Which angles are supplementary? Supplementary. That means, again, when you add them together, they give you a 180. Anthony. A and B. So here we're going to use the picture on your paper. So A and B are supplementary. Now before we keep going, just so we can kind of get a pattern here, do you see another angle that's supplementary with angle A? All right, who wants to tell me? Zane. Angle C there, that's not supplementary. Lily? Angle D. Okay. All right, so we kind of got those two. If we're kind of patterned, so we got this set of angles and this set of angles, right? All right, so what else do you see? Who's got another one for me? Aiden? Okay, angle B and angle C, right? Now, is angle C also with another angle?
Yes.
Which one? Robert? Don't we have that one up here? Yeah, we have B and C. So what else is C with? C and D. Good. I think that takes care of all the angles at the top part, right?
Yep.
All right, what are the ones you see now on the bottom set of angles? Lily? All right, E and G. Anything else with E that could be related to another angle that's supplementary? Anthony? F. All right, I think we got two more, right? Is F with another one? Ashley? H. And I think H is with one more, right? Angle H and angle G. Good. So we got 8 sets there, right? Now, also, with those supplementary angles, are angles that are adjacent. Okay? So, this is kind of a new word for you, right? So, adjacent, it says, I want you to write this down. Adjacent angles share the same side of the vertex. So, for example, if you look at your picture, angle A and angle B are adjacent. So is angle A and angle D. But those angles are also what? Supplementary. So those are also, because they're next, adjacent are right next to each other. All right? Then you got angle B and angle C, and angle C and angle D. So you see how it's working? So they're pretty much the same as what you saw up above, right? Aren't all the angles here, if they're aren't they also adjacent? Okay. Now think about this. So we've talked about angles that are adjacent, supplementary, vertical. Think about this. Are there any angles? Are there any other angles that are congruent? Remember we filled in that top with all the angles. Think about the vertical angles. Right? A and C were right, were the congruent. But does A maybe a matching thing on the bottom?
Yes.
What? E, right? Everyone agree with that? So angle A and angle E are congruent because they're both what? 100. They're also on the, if you notice, on the same side of the transversal, right? So what else could you say is also another set of congruent angles? C and H? Yep, I'll take that one. Angle C and angle H. Good. Two more. Aiden? B and F. Good. Anyone see the other one? Martina? Good, D and G. So it says, what do you notice about them? So these are angles on the same side of the transversal. And they're basically in the same spot of the cluster angles. So, and of course they got to be equal, right? So for example, I'll come back to this in just a second. So when we said A and E, see how they're on the same side of the lines going across, and then the same side of the transversal, right? And then we said that B and F were also congruent because, again, they're on the same side of the transversal and on the same side of the lines going across. All right? And then you said D and G, all right? And then C and H. So you see how they kind of match up because they're on the same side of the transversal and the same side of the lines. Okay, that's how they become equal. Okay? Oop, I don't know how that happened. Let's just turn that off. So, now, if you notice about these, look at these two angles here and here. We knew that angle C was 100 and angle F was 80, right? So if you notice, these two lines these two angles that are opposite from each other add up to what? 180. Same thing with these two, right? See how that works? All right, let's turn the page. Oh yeah, let me scroll down. I will pause the video so you guys can finish writing that down. All right, so now we're gonna kind of use our knowledge to help answer some of these questions here. So it says use what you know about supplementary and vertical angles. Write an equation and then find the value of x in each side of the angle in the figure. So for what they give us here, if this is 45 and we have to find x, what do we know about x and 45? They have to equal 180, right? They're supplementary angles, right? Supplementary angles. So what do you think, what equation could I write, or expression, could I write to help us solve this? Okay, that's going to be 1, right? 180 minus 45 equals x, right? And whatever we find here when we subtract, right, that'll be our x, right? Is there another way we could write this? Think about the opposite of subtraction.
45 plus x.
Good. We could write it as also 45 plus x equals 180, right? So what would be the measure of x? So if I use the first one, I took 180 and subtracted 45 from it. It is 135 degrees. Excuse me. So this is 135, right? So if that's 135 and 45, and we got to find these other angles, what's the measure of this angle right here? Isabel.
45.
And how would you know that?
Because
What's congruent to what? The ones across from each other? What are those called? What are those called? Look. Yeah, those are the vertical angles, right? Right across from each other. Okay. It's also supplementary to angle x, right? Which we figured out to be 135. So what about the other angle then? What's this guy? What's that guy? Robert? 135. Because? Yeah, it could be supplementary here, or it's vertical to this one. So lots of different reasons, right? All right. Now the one below is a little tougher, right? One angle they said is x, the other one is 5x. Well, what do we know about angle x and angle 5x? From where they're positioned, Anthony? Yeah, they're supplementary angles, which means they have to add up to So how can I write an equation for this? How can I write an equation for this, Martina?
180 minus X.
No, we gotta, remember, we have to be able to add these two angles together to get 180, Robert? Right? If these two angles add together give us 180, couldn't we just write this? Right? Now, did you guys have any experience with solving equations last year or expressions? So what do I know when I have two x's? What can I do? What are these called? When I have a 5x and an x, they're called something. They are variables because the x is a variable. But when the x is when the variables are the same, what is that called? Which allows us to add them. Starts with an L. Like. No, like is the first word. No, looks like I didn't teach you the vocab. These are like terms. Okay? So 5x and x are like terms. So since they're like terms, I can add them. Now, if I just write an x, what number is technically in front of the x that we don't write, Joey? 1. But we don't write 1x. We just write x. Any number greater than 1 in front of a variable, we write it. So what's 5x plus x? Zane? 6x. So if I'm trying to solve this, this is 6x equals 180. So when we say 6x, you're really saying 6 times x, right? So if I want to solve for x, I got to get rid of that multiplication, right? Right. And the reason we divide is because you have to do the opposite of what operation this is. This is multiplication. So to undo multiplication, we have to do its opposite. And the opposite of multiplication is, everybody, division. So when I divide by 6, what's 6 divided by 6? Any number divided by itself is 1. So we just write x here. And what's 180 divided by 6? 30. So the measure of that angle, x, is 30 degrees. Right? So that means this guy is 30 degrees. So if this is 30 degrees, what does the other one have to be? Well, the other one is 5x, right? So if I take 30 and plug it into x, so 5, we basically have 5 times 30, right? And 5 times 30 is 150. So the 5x angle is 150 degrees. And notice that they still add up to 180, right? And this angle is 5 times more than this angle, right?
Yes.
So the other angles would be what then? What would be, I'll make them a different color this time. So this one here, the green angle, should be what degree? What measure? 30, because it's either vertical to angle x or supplementary to the 5x angle, right? All right. What's the measure of the red angle here? Robert? 150. Again, the reason it could be supplementary to angle x, or the supplementary to the one we just made, or it's also a vertical angle with the 5x. Those are all reasons that if they asked you why, you could tell them. You could use any one of those reasons. All right, so let's do some practicing here. There's a little worksheet attached to this, right? So let's open that up. So a couple important things here. They tell you what's parallel to what. E and F is the transversal. Okay. So alternate interior angles. Okay, it says R. Again, this is kind of important, so I want you to underline it. Are two inside angles on opposite sides of the transversal. All right. So for example, they say 3 and 5. You see how they're inside the two lines, A, B, and C, D, but they're opposite the transversal. Alternate. Alternate means opposite, right? Okay, and interior means inside. So just kind of help you. 4 and 6 are the other two. All right. So these angles are also congruent. So they're saying if angle 6 is 60 degrees, then so would be angle 4. Okay? And then we know that the angles across from each other should be the same ones, right? So these two pieces of facts for alternate interior angles are important. So I want you to underline that because that's kind of, again, more things you're going to have to know. So box the word alternate interior angles and underline that little definition of on opposite sides of the transversal, and they're also congruent. And congruent means what? The same. Okay. Now here's one other new vocabulary word. Corresponding angles are on the same side of the transversal. So remember we just talked about these? So for example, 1 and 5, 3 and 7. You see how those worked? Okay. And those angles are also congruent. And how do we know that? Well, again, we knew this was 60, right? So across from this would have to be 120, right? Well, what's angle 7? If angle 3 and angle 7 are the same, that means they're the same measure, right? Which would mean they're also 6 and 7 are supplementary, which still add up to 180, right? See how all this kind of comes together? I know there's just a lot of vocabulary words, right? So, yes, this is important right here. Okay? So, get it into the brain. All right. So, let's use this diagram here. Same idea, now we just change the numbers up, right? So, name the alternate interior angles to angle 11. So, angle 11 should be an alternate interior with what angle? Who can tell me? Raise your hand and tell me. Who can tell me? Robert. 13, right? Opposite the transversal, and it's inside the two lines, right? Interior. Just try to think about what those words mean. So what should be the interior, alternate interior for angle 12? Right, angle 14. Very good. Now, change gears. They want to talk about corresponding angles. So look at that. On the same side of the transversal. So what's the corresponding angle to angle 16, Isabel?
14.
Remember, all right, so let's look at the definition. Hold on. 14 is actually a vertical angle, right? So let's think about this. On the same side of the transversal, so up top, 1 and 5 were transversal. So what looks like more like the same pattern up top? So 14 is a vertical angle, so remember, same, so it's got to go across, right? Which one do you think?
12.
12, good. Angle 12. Because they're also on the same side of the line, right? What would be the corresponding angle to 14? Angle 14. Ashley. 10. What about angle 9? Mason. 13. Good. And what about angle 11? Gracie. 15. Very good. So you're starting to see the difference in all these angles? I know it's a lot of terms to throw at you. It's just going to take some practice, and we'll do that later tonight. All right, so let's go on to the next one. Last little bit of info here. So, again, L and M, which are right here, are parallel. Okay? And, of course, we got the transversal going through. And they gave us one angle, right? So it looks like that's angle 2. That's at 30 degrees. So if angle 2 is 30 degrees, what does angle 1 have to be? Aiden. 150, good. Because again, 1 and 2 are supplementary angles, right? What would angle 3 be then? Mason. It would also be 150. Because again, it's supplementary this way, or it's a vertical angle this way, with it's also 150, right? What about angle 6? Angle 6, Sal.
30.
30. Why'd you get 30? How? What was your reasoning?
Because angle 4 is the same as angle 6.
Alternate interior?
Yeah.
Okay, and that was 30, right? Isn't it also a corresponding angle with that guy, right? So you could say it's corresponding with the angle they gave us, or it's alternate interior with angle 4, right? Which we know is 30. Good. All right, what about number 6? Angle 5. Maria.
Um,
Angle 5 is no. What's the measurement?
uh,
If 6 is 30, 150. All right. So what's angle 8? Rebecca. Angle 8 is 150 because it's a vertical angle with 5, right? And we found out 5 to be 150. Vertical angles are the same. All right, Braden, give me the last one. Angle 7.
30.
30. Because again, angle 7 and angle 6 are vertical. All right. All right. Good job. So, here's the homework assignment. Ooh. Psych, no homework assignment. All right, let me stop the video. Yeah, there's